I'm Teresa Coraggio, and this is Third Paradigm. I was told to bring back the flowers, and so I did, even though this one looks like it's out of Little Shop of Horrors and is ready to eat my head. Today's topic is Luna Plots a Revolution, a wombat's eye view of Vedic astrology. And I will be entirely reading this. So if you want to see the AI art, go to thirdparadigm.substack.com. Otherwise, they will be entirely the same. For my birthday, I gave myself an astrology reading by Isaac Middle, Australian author of Down the Wombat Hole, which he calls Wholesome Conspiratorial Astrology. And I've featured Isaac on different episodes that I'll link at the end. Isaac first came into focus for me when he wrote about the Shemitahs and Jubilees, the 7 and 50-year markers in the Hebrew Bible. Rather than benevolent times of rest and debt forgiveness, Isaac went down the conspiratorial wombat hole of engineered sacrifice and chaos to usher in the biblical end times. The calendar of apocalyptic pre-game activities was eerie. I had just started looking at Shem, Noah's chosen son to rule the world, with his descendants who God bequeathed the populations of Africa, Egypt, Canaan, and parts of Asia to be their slaves. I hadn't realized the 7-year increments leading up to the 50-year Great Resets were named for Shem. But I had suspected that the Jubilee years were of sinister intent to return the world to its original owners with interest. The next wombat hole I followed Isaac into was Trump as the Orange Moonchild. He looks at the astrological omens, perhaps too perfect, that the Donald born during an eclipse is being set up as the next Messiah after Israel claims the Temple Mount and sacrifices their purifying red heifer. Is Donald the orange heifer to come? A reality show host seems fitting for this role. Pasheen of Diva Drops just wrote about the $3 billion Saudi investment in Gaza that Jared Kushner arranged when his father-in-law was in office. Jared is bored with reporters asking him again about Khashoggi being sawed into pieces by bin Salman, his Saudi business partner. "Are we still doing this?" he whines petulantly. We had to do some unconventional things. In 2022, Donald met with Saudi elites to plan the finance of the Kushner condos in Gaza. And they still seem to be doing some unconventional things to get that beachfront property. Going back to Noah and Shem, there's an international trade currency being considered by the BRICS called the Unit. It would be run by the UN and was designed by Archangelist Capital Management, with Ark spelled like the Noahide covenant, with the God that Shemites would rule the world, take possession of Canaan, and be served by its former inhabitants as the lowest of slaves. Anyone else see a problem with this? Moon mansions and dragons. I have been taking my time going through Isaac's 90-page astrology reading, and it has opened my eyes to a whole new world, or I should say a whole new sky and a whole new relationship with it. I love the lush imagery of the Vedic symbology and the beautiful names of the Nakshatras or lunar mansions. It's a rich and evocative array of celestial archetypes and progressions, none more evocative than Raku and Ketu, the head and tail of the dragon in their opposing lunar nodes. Isaac writes, "One of the main contrasts we find between Western and Eastern astrology is the roles of the sun and moon. Modern astrology puts the sun at the center. Zodiac signs are not determined by the stars and constellations, but by the timing of the solar seasons. The start of Aries will always be the spring equinox in the northern hemisphere, even though the sun will be located in the constellation of Pisces. As a general rule, our sun sign is also given more weight than our moon. Sidereal astrology, if I'm pronouncing that right, operates independently of the seasons and is guided by the observable sky. In many ancient modes of astrology, we also see a focus on lunar cycles, most notably Vedic, which divides the zodiac into 27 lunar mansions, or Nakshatras, which track the passage of the moon around the ecliptic each day over a full lunar cycle. The visible characteristics of the thick star system at the heart of each nakshatra forms the basis of its astrological archetype. Also, as a general rule, the nakshatra of the moon is given more prominence. For example, one rule of thumb is to give our moon nakshatra a weighting of 8, our ascendant a factor of 4, our sun a factor of 2, and no weighting to the nakshatras of our other inner planets. Why is the placement of the moon given such traditional dominance in our astrological makeup? While we will presumably have to wait for the true answer, we can at least ponder, starting, as always, with the observable properties of the sky clock. In this context, the answer seems quite simple. Our moon placement is most important because it is the fastest moving planet. If we were born a day earlier or a day later, our charts would essentially be the same, aside from the key variable of our moon, sometimes passing into an entirely different zodiac sign, but always moving into a different nakshatra. Isaac practices true sidereal, which is a geocentric perspective that reconciles tropical and sidereal, with just a little dash of conspiracy, he says. I'm going to save for another post the many thoughts sparked by this education in the ancient East-West controversies of stargazing, planet personification, moonstruck fantasy, and sun worship, all terms I use with respect. Instead, I'm going to read his 7-part story of a moon's eye view of my natal chart. Number 1. Understanding the 1957 generation. At an undisclosed location, from a place beyond time, space, and the holographic sky clock firmament, Luna sat down at her desk, took a sip of coffee, cracked her knuckles, and looked down at the celestial scene she would be finding a place in today. Oh, fucking finally, an exciting year! An overworked and underslept Luna recognized the outer planet pattern immediately, even without the help of her inseparable yet inescapably autistic placement assistant. A rare sextile square alignment, when Uranus in Cancer squared a Neptune in Virgo, the latter forming its own sextile to Pluto in Leo. Tension between liberation and escape, alignment between transcendence and transformation. This would be the underlying archetypal framework for the 1957 generation. 2. The death and rebirth of the ruling class. Not just Pluto in Leo, her assistant guided her forward gently. She squinted, reminding herself to do something about her birth chart afflicted eyesight. Right in the middle. We are in Maga land, I see. She paused. Wait, where's Regulus? A few clicks of the mouse button from her assistant later. Oof! 1 degree, right in the thick of it, unearthing the secrets of our ancestors, transforming what it means to hold and exercise power. The death of the ruling class? Her autistic but surprisingly street-smart assistant jabbed his elbow into her ribs, a subtle reminder that she was already on the watch list for her seditious inclinations. She coughed. Death and rebirth! Death and rebirth of the ruling class! Phew! 3. The Plutonic Power Generator. Luna wiped her brow and got back to work. Okay, I want this Pluto fully activated, and I want a piece of this action. What are our options? More autistic mouse clicks? How about this trapezoid with Mars on 28th of April? Oh boy, imagine if you got that Mars in the 10th house. Oh boy, talk about a new ruling class. And that would be a trine to Neptune as well, yes? Her assistant nodded, curtly but approvingly. A Plutonic Power Generator, humming away underneath, fueling everything we do. 4. The Higher-Minded Warrior. Luna, caught up in the moment and bereft of all due diligence, was ready to sign the paperwork until a polite cough brought her back. Okay. Anything about that Mars we need to be worried about? Looks like it's tucked in pretty close to Betelgeuse there. A few more mouse clicks, and the greater benefic appeared, along with that Uranus square. Only a Jupiter square? I mean, that's basically the best point of internal tension we can hope for, really. Nothing wrong with a few healthily expressed holy wars. In fact, she checked her cosmic end times calendar to make sure. We are pretty much in the apocalypse. May as well show them how to do it right. 5. The messenger from the spiritual past. Okay, what else do we need to know about that Jupiter? More clicking. Trine to Mercury, the higher mind, dignified communication, speaking to our beliefs. Another cough from beside her. She squinted again. Oh, shit. Exactly conjunct Ketu. Articulating that which has come before us, which gives us comfort, which holds us back. Imagine if that was in the 9th house as well, Jupiter's own domain. A literal messenger from the spiritual past, communicating the karmic baggage of religion, philosophy, and higher learning. A gentle clearing of the throat. But which ultimately serves us practically, in the local, in the immediate, in the tangible. Yes, good. 6. The radiant and romantic revolutionary. Wait, we haven't even looked at the sun yet. And Venus? She braced herself. The autistic clicking seemed somewhat foreboding this time. I knew it. A fucking T-square. She took a moment to take in this near-complete planetary picture. Look, it's not too bad, to be honest. Venus has a bit of separation from the sun, only a little burnt out. Just need to lean into the tension of that revolutionary, even radical humanitarian and see what cages we can rattle. More a click of the throat this time. And, oh yes, Venus and romance. 7. The separated Saturn. Luna was about to sign the paperwork when what appeared to be a life-threatening, yet also clearly manufactured coughing fit exploded next to her. What? Oh, for fuck's sake. Where's Saturn then? Fucking Saturn. Just one click this time. The most intense squinting yet. Wait, where the fuck is Saturn? Oh, fuck, no aspects. Right down at the bottom there in the darkest part of the sky, that is the Scorpion between Antares and the galactic center. An entirely intimate, isolated, separated Saturn. As Luna finalized the paperwork, she signed off with what felt like her most common refrain. Fuck Saturn. Get thee to a wholesome astrologer. If this doesn't make you want to fetch Isaac from his wombat hole and do your reading, I don't know what will. I know from now on I am going full on holy warrior. Let's show them how to do an apocalypse right. And that word, of course, means the stripping off of disguise. It means ripping off the mask, at least from my Cosmic End Times dictionary. I love this idea that Luna is plotting with us on the death of the ruling class, not as people who can be replaced, but as a concept that has overstayed its welcome. Fishy royals and predatory guests both start to stink after 3 millennia. I love that she's on a watch list for sedition. I will be moon gazing with new affinity. I just happened to look up the etymology of the word influence and found that it was an astrological term, streaming ethereal power from the stars when in certain positions, acting upon character or destiny of men. It also means an influx of water that changes things. And so thinking about the stars and the space as being a medium, something like water in which there are powers and currents and things that have influence, was a great way of conceptualizing this for me. Riding the dragon. Before reading Isaac's charming narrative, I went through his detailed descriptions of each archetype. Ketu, the tail of my lunar dragon, is in the 9th house, leaving behind the karmic baggage of philosophy, religion, and spirituality. But Rahu, the head of the dragon, is in the 3rd house, moving towards being a neighborhood butterfly and working actively in the local fishbowl. Bleck. Been there, done that. I was ready to shoo that dragon out of my house when Isaac's avatar Luna took it to the evolutionary level and revolutionary level. Indeed, my economic model is a global system that enables small-scale sovereignty. It's all about local, but with a global scope. Likewise, it decentralizes all the institutions of education, religion, medicine, technology, and media. Communities, if they want, can create their own languages, numbering systems, keyboards, calendars, architecture, and new cultural traditions. I am all about the uniqueness of the local and bottom-up networks and leaving behind the centralized and top-down control. So thanks for the lunar light by which to dig up the dirty little secrets of our ancestors. Who better than mothers to transform what it means to hold and exercise power into giving people power over themselves? If anyone is faithfully on the side of mothers, it's Luna, diving into the underworld every month and emerging luminescent, throwing her thin arms around that shadow self in a crescent hug, moving from mansion to mansion in a single night, not giving a fuck what the neighbors say. Let's all get a little loony and howl at our full-bellied friend. Death to the ruling class. Rebirth of the classy ruling fool. Viva la reborn mother. I have 5 episodes where I've cited Isaac Middle, and they'll all be linked in the Substack. But this is the first one, What a Smoke and Wombat Holes. And this is the most recent Cosmology and the Course, but I am certain that this will not be the last. Thank you for watching.